train a-coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesels humming. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. No, you don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. No, you don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. Oh, thank you, People, get ready. Are you ready? People, get ready. Good evening, everyone. I'm Heather Lynn. Pronouns are she, they. So happy to welcome you here tonight in this space and online. That was the first of 2 gathering songs because we have the live stream going now, and the global branch is here with us. So let's give them a shout out, show them some love, connect. Those of you who are watching online, please say hello in the comments so that we can know you are here and welcome you. And also, please feel free to share the live stream. Everyone here, getting cozy and comfy here in the chapel. If you'd like to help yourself to some hot tea or coffee from the back corner, please do feel free to help yourself, especially during this next song as we're continuing to gather and get comfortable. You can find, a different place if you want to. Feel free to get up and move around and be as you need to be. Make yourself at home. If you are here for the very first time, thank you for being here. We'd love to hear from you. We have newcomer cards around the room on little clipboards, and so if you'd like to share your info on there and your thoughts on there with us, you can fill that out and then place that in the offering bag later on in our time together. This song, as we continue to gather, is still fresh for this community, a song I wrote with my dear friend Steve Bassett, a lyricist with the 9 Beats Collective. And we brought it out last week because Nicole was talking about the chapter in Colby Martin's book, The Shift, on how progressives can still have conflict. What do you know? Hey! And I love the words of this song, and this is what happens when I collaborate with Steve. Sometimes his lyrics just sing themselves to me, and I love how this feels like a wooing to cultivate that inner peace of Christ that passes all understanding. And so we do our best, right? And we seek to live in that space and work for it through justice and through healthy conflict as best we can. So if you're getting familiar with it, please feel free to sing along and also simply enjoy if that's what you prefer right now. Be at peace with yourself. Be at peace with each other. Be at peace. Love the ones always there for you, the ones who tend and care for you, who let their yeah be yeah for you. Oh, and love the ones who just can't figure you, the ones who somehow trigger you. Be the better, bigger you. Be at peace with yourself. Be at peace with each other. Be at peace. Be at peace with yourself. Be at peace with each other. Be at peace. Love the ones always lifting you, the ones whose tides don't shift from you, who let their light come shine. peace with yourself. Be at peace with each other. Be at peace. Love and resistance. Peace and persistence. This is how we break the silence. This is how we slay the giants. Together in the trenches, tearing down the fences. Beautiful and brilliant. Redemption in resilience. Be at peace with yourself. Be at peace with each other. Be at peace. Be at peace with yourself. Be at peace with each other. Be at peace. 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 Amen.
Well, hello, welcome. I'm really excited for this night because we have Colby Martin here, and I'm excited. Yeah. And just a reminder, if you weren't here last week, to be able to be here for the kickoff for the Phoenix Rising, there are pieces still out there. And so the things you need to know about it, color on the side where there's painting. Don't color over the numbers because there's 137 tiles, and it will be very hard to put it back together again. And don't take anything home. So if you need to go out and get something, there's colored pencils. Feel free to bring it in, and please contribute. And so if you would say these words for me, we say these every week, and this is our ethos. Married, divorced, and single here, it's one family that mingles here. Conservative and liberal here, we've all got to give a little here. Big and small here, there is room for us all here. Doubt and believe here, we all can receive here. LGBTQ plus and straight here, there is no hate here. Women, non-binary, and man here, everyone can here. Whatever your race here, for all of us grace here. In imitation of the ridiculous love Almighty God has for us and all of us, let us love and live without labels. Or live in love without labels, it's all good.
Live in love without labels. Yeah, thank you, Karen. Let's stand together as each is able and willing, standing from your feet or from your seat and in your heart. Maybe either way, maybe just sitting a little taller or standing a little taller, finding yourself here in your body as we sing of this loving liberation that comes from God's divine love. Amen. the darkness of the light dares us to see. We'll all be free, yeah. Let the light keep us shining. Let it break into the darkness. All the light dares us to see. We'll all be free. We'll all be free. We'll all be free. Yes. May it be so. Divine love, we thank you for your abiding presence. Thank you for never leaving us or forsaking us. And yet, we do have times where we struggle to know, to remember, to feel, to experience your warm, all-encompassing embrace. We struggle to get free at times. And so we ask that you would help us, that you would show us in greater and deeper ways how immense your love is, how there is no fear there, and how there is no shame in your illumination, only warmth and meeting us with your presence and facing us with joy in your eyes. Meet us here in these deeper ways, in these healing ways, in these liberating ways. There is no fear in your love. There is no shame in your light. Only the laughter of God, shaking the dead back to life. There is no fear in your love. There is no shame in your lights. Only the mercy of God. Only impossible life. We want to be where you are. We want to feel your beating heart. And where you go, we will go too. We want to be with you. There is no fear in your love. There is no shame in your lights. Only the laughter of God, shaking the dead back to May all of this, dear ones, bring you peace, peace to your hearts, your minds, your bodies, your spirits, your nervous systems, peace. Let's share a sign of Christ's peace together tonight, greeting one another in the name of love. Dear Global Branch, all of you here with us virtually, peace to you. Hope you're keeping well. If you haven't yet said hello, please say hi in the comments, since that is how we know that you are here. That's how you can make your presence known to us. We love knowing that you're here. And also, if you haven't yet mentioned like where you are right now in the world, that would be really cool to hear. Many of us might know where you live, but some new folks might not know. So it's always delightful to see that and to realize you all really are a global branch all over the country and the world. And feel free to share virtual hugs and all that jazz. And Mary Jo is going to be here momentarily to introduce Colby to us, and I know we're all excited to hear from Colby Martin today. So be sure to share your heart and your clap emojis abundantly.
Hey y'all, as you get settled, I'm going to introduce Colby. My name's Mary Jo, and my pronouns are she, her. And Colby and I have known each other for almost 10 years. I first met him right before he and a couple of rad people started a church. And so Colby invited me to join in that glorious ride. And Colby came to know me, as many of you have come to know me, as an asker of difficult questions. One of the first difficult questions I asked Colby was about the church, and it got me invited to be on the founding board of Sojourn Grace Collective. And then a little while later, Colby says to me, I'm going to write a book. So this is his first book on Clobber. I'm going to write a book about what the Bible says about homosexuality. And I looked at Colby and I said, there are already books about that. What would a cishet white male add to the conversation? And he very graciously responded and said, look, Mary Jo, I don't have a dog in the fight. And there are people out there, who will only listen to me because I have an unbiased perspective. And for those of you who read Unclobber, it is a fabulous book. Colby was with me when my wife was dying of cancer. He came to her bedside in our living room and sang songs to her. He was with me when we had to say goodbye to her. And he is a very compelling speaker. We're very fortunate to have him here tonight. And he's even more compelling when he is asked difficult questions and when he shows us his vulnerability. So thank you for being here tonight, Colby. I love you.
Thank you, Mary Jo. Speaking of Mary Jo's questions, so Mary Jo, yes, was on the first board of our church. And at our first board meeting, she raises her hand. Yes, Mary Jo. And this was in our living room, right? So this was like back in the dining room table. Yes, Mary Jo. She goes, guys, we were like 2 months old at the church this time. I have a question. Yes, Mary Jo. What happens if you get hit by a bus? Oh, we're already having that conversation. Okay, great. Like, what happens if you die? What happens to this thing? I'm like, oh, good gravy. And why is it always hit by a bus? Why is that the go-to death of someone? What happens if... Okay, well, anyways, love you, Mary Jo. So good to be here with you. Envision Community Church, I adore you. For reals. Like, I have been following your journey from the get-go, from when you were under a different name and finding your way through this complex, nuanced, intriguing, mysterious world of, I don't know, I call it progressive Christianity. If that term works for you, great. If not, leave it behind. Post-evangelical, ex-evangelical, I don't know. But these are the waters that so many communities around the country are trying to swim in. And these are the communities that I've been traveling around this year talking about this book, The Shift, which to my understanding is the book that y'all have been going through the last few months, which just warms my heart. I got to tell you, like I don't even know what to do with that. It just makes me so giddy inside to know that there would be people out there that would find such worth and value in the things that I have to say and think and write. So to get to be with you here tonight is a true gift. I've been trying to make it out to this area for years, and we finally made it happen, and I'm delighted. And thank you. That is woo-worthy. Thank you, Heather Lynn. I thought y'all were wooers. I was surprised there was less wooing at that, so thank you. And before I get into it, the thing that I want to share with you tonight, I want to say this. You're doing really great. Like, in life, you're doing great. Life is really freaking hard. And sometimes I think we just need someone to come along and remind us that we're still showing up. And maybe even tell us, like, you're doing great. For reals. I'm really proud of you. You're doing great. Thank you. Okay? Yeah, there it is. Like that? And now we're going to go to communion. Okay? Okay. All right. Thank you. I think you're in for a treat because I think I've figured out the secret to life. And I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you tonight. I've been around for 40 full years, so, that gives me some insight. Not really. But I think I have figured out the secret to life, and I'm going to share it with you. And part of what I'm hoping to do here is because you've already gone through the material in the shift, I wanted to do a little bit of, if I were to have to summarize some of the lessons that I've learned in my, because my first 10 years of vocational ministry were in conservative evangelical spaces. My second 10 years, the last 10 years have been in this post-evangelical progressive Christian space. And it's out of that work that the shift has come to fruition as I have myself gone through this journey of moving from conservative to progressive Christianity, and then also shepherded and helped guide people along that path. I've come to, if I were to have to summarize what I've learned in that, and if I were to put a more finer point on it, realize what I think it takes, the kind of, community like yours, you might talk about sexual orientation. I'm going to talk about spiritual orientation. What kind of spiritual orientation it takes to kind of make it through this life, I think is the thing I want to leave you with here tonight. So it'll be a bit of a high level, but also I hope to provide something that you can tangibly walk away here tonight saying, oh, I think I get it. I think I can do this. Because you can do this. And you are doing this. Okay, so the way I'm gonna go through this is I'm gonna pull a few verses out of the chapter from Paul's letter to Corinthians. So 1 Corinthians 13, often known as sort of the love chapter. Love is patient, love is kind, does not envy, does not boast. I'm gonna skip those because we know those so well. And I'm gonna more highlight a couple at the beginning and a couple at the end of that because I think there's some real magic in here. And I'll start by reading verses 9 and 10 where Paul writes, "We know in part and we prophesy in part, but when the perfect comes, what is partial will be brought to an end." Interesting note here is Paul very likely, like everyone else at that time, expected a bodily return of Jesus to come back. And he was anticipating like a thief in the night, any time now, any moment, get your lives together because Tuesday at 4 p.m., I think he might be coming back. We know in part, but when the perfect comes, we shall see more fully. Now, that didn't happen. Right? So not only did the followers of Paul and the early church, not only did they have to wrestle with the death and the resurrection and the ascension of Jesus, which, by the way, stressful, right? To go from on a cross, sad, empty tomb, happy, and then he just disappears again? Not cool. Just leave us here. And then you have Paul and some other people being like, okay, but he's still going to come back. It's going to be fine. And then he doesn't come back in anybody's lifetime. And so you have this movement that's trying to figure out, okay, what does all this mean? What do we do with this? What do we do with the fact that we keep getting our hopes up and then they keep getting dashed and then we're just stuck here having to try to figure out life? And I kind of think this is a little bit of what I get out of this chapter is what do you do when life doesn't go the way you expect it to go? Which is to say, what do you do when you're a human being? Because people get sick and they die. Relationships end. Jobs end. Politicians do their thing. Life is hard, and it rarely is fashioned to go in a way that perfectly lines up with you. So what do we do? What do we do? The Buddha taught that life is suffering, which I think is could be viewed as a pessimistic approach. I don't think it is. I think it's this open-eyed, just naming, this acknowledging that on a day-to-day basis, we have to reconcile with the fact that this world is not perfectly aligned for us. So where does that leave us? What do we do in light of all this? When everything gets stripped away, what is left? What is left? And this is what Paul writes at the very end of 1 Corinthians 13, verse 13. And I'm going to read from the King James because it sounds good. And now abideth. And now abideth. When all is stripped away, and now abideth faith, hope, and love. Other translations, when the only thing that remains when everything else is gone, faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. And I think there's something in there. When everything is stripped away, when everything is lost or feels lost, what remains? Faith, hope, and love. And I think the secret to life is in there. So real quick, I'm going to give you faith, hope, and love. And something that hopefully a tangible definition or description or embodiment of each of these three things that you can leave here tonight putting into immediate practice. Faith, hope, and love. And the first is faith. And honestly, I'm going to I can skip like a rock over a pond on this one because I listened to Nicole's message from a few weeks ago when she talked about the first few chapters of my book and you nailed it. So you already kind of know what I have to say about faith, which essentially is this. I think faith is much more closely aligned to a verb, a thing that we do, a way that we show up to life, than it is a noun, a thing that we have, a thing that we possess. Because if faith is a noun, if it's just a collection of the things that we believe, which is how many of us, I think, were raised and move through the world, when we start to audit those beliefs, when we start to lay some down, discard others, adapt and change some, we will inevitably end up thinking, I've lost my faith because I don't believe these things anymore. No, this is not what faith is. Faith is not the things that we believe. Faith is the way that we stay open to life. It is a posture that we have that intuits, that knows that out there is some sort of great light and we're constantly trying to be open to it. And I'm fascinated by how the number of times in the Gospels Jesus would say to an individual that your faith has saved you. And when you look at these stories, there's nothing in there that has to do with like a creedal, doctrinal, theological acquiescence, which is to say they're not making some statement of belief. To which Jesus says, wow, what great faith you have. No, they are showing this posture of openness and trust, like the woman who'd been bleeding for years and just touching the hem of Jesus' garment as a way of saying, I've exhausted my life savings, I've gone through all of the medical community, and I've got nothing left to show for it. I'm just going to throw myself at the feet of Jesus, open up to what is. Jesus, wow, that's some serious faith. So for me, I think faith is less about the things that we believe, and faith is a way of staying open. It's a trust. It really is a trust. It's a trust. Now abideth faith, hope, and love. Faith, being open. Hope. I find hope to be frustrating. Hope is super vulnerable. You know what's easy? Cynicism. Yeah. That's easy. We can just sort of constantly be like, Things are awful. They're always going to be awful. Let me find something else to complain about. Let me find some other reason to say why my life is awful and will only ever be awful forever and ever. Amen. But hope? Whew. Hope takes courage. To actually think and choose to believe that things might actually change, maybe for the better. That's scary. I found two things helpful in my approach to hope, in my attempt to stay away from the easy road of cynicism. That road is wide and leads to destruction, you know what I mean? Hope for me is found in these two steps. Step one is letting go of what was. Step one is not being afraid of what can be. Step one, letting go of what is. And there's a chapter in the book where I talk a little bit about how in Genesis chapter 32, there's the story of Jacob and Esau. You remember Jacob and Esau? Jacob swindled his brother out of his birthright and his blessing when they were young. But honestly, if you look at the story, it was the mother who was behind the thing, like, what's the Game of Thrones queen? Cersei. Like there was like a Cersei sort of thing going on, which really is how it always is. Not to blame our parents, but come on, let's blame our parents, and their parents will blame their parents. This is called generational trauma. Okay, Jacob was not born a conniving deceiver, manipulator. He learned those tools from his mom. This is how all of life works: is we grow up in these imperfect families, nestled inside imperfect societies, inside of imperfect worlds, and so yes, we're all going to have baggage and issues. Anyway, so Jacob swindles his brother and ends up fleeing from home, and they're separated for 20 years because Esau says, once our dad passes, I'm going to kill you. And so Jacob flees away. Genesis 32, he begins to want to come back home and to be reconciled with his brother. And there's this incredible story in Genesis 32, you guys know this story well, where Jacob wrestles all night with this late night visitor. Now, most of the time, this gets understood as Jacob wrestling with God or an angel of the Lord. Great interpretations. Obviously, those have been the predominant ways of reading this story for thousands of years, and I'm not here to tell you that's wrong. But a number of years ago, I was struck by details in the story that, for me, potentially situate this story as a way to describe what happens when we are on the precipice of changing. We're on the edge of transformation. And an old version of ourselves, almost out of nowhere, almost like in the middle of the night, shows up and begins to resist. And if you've gone through this shift of moving from a conservative to a progressive kind of Christianity, then I think you know what I'm talking about. Those moments where that old version of you comes online and says, "What are you doing? We worked really hard to get you here. All the Bible studies that we attended, all the devotions that we did, all the money that we tithed, all the rules that we followed, and you're just gonna throw it all away?" Right? This is the old stories in our heads that come up, and they resent us being on the edge of growth and transformation. And when you look at this story in this way, one of the things I'm struck by, and I love this, the storyteller describes they wrestle all night long, they're evenly matched. There's a moment where the visitor, who I call Jacob 1.0, the old Jacob, does this like cheap shot at Jacob 2.0, does this cheap shot at him, which makes sense because that's what old Jacob would do, these sort of cheap shots. Because the old versions of us, they know right where to put the knife and turn it, you know what I mean? Like they know our weaknesses. And then the first thing that is spoken, the first words spoken between these two fighters, old Jacob and new Jacob, old Jacob says this. And this is how we often hear it. We'll read it like this, and we often hear it as though it's like this, where the old version of Jacob, the late night visitor, says three words, "Let me go!" And that's how we hear, right? Because like they're fighting, they're wrestling. "Oh, let me go!" And then Jacob says, "Not until you bless me," which is a weird response. But anyways, we don't have time to get into that. "Let me go!" I submit to you that maybe we hear this in a different way. What if? What if instead we hear these words spoken to us from these old versions of ourselves The ones that come online and resent and resist our efforts to grow. The ones that look at us and be like, you're really going to throw it all away? Slippery slope. What if it's more like this? Let me go. Let me go. I submit to you that it is, yes, the old versions of us that come online to fight, but it is our current selves' responsibility to be the ones to let them go. Let them go. Marie Kondo them. You know what I mean? Like, thank them for getting you here. Like, honestly, thank you for getting me here. I appreciate it, but you're no longer like, I'm good. And what's beautiful about that story is the old version does give a blessing. And the blessing is, I'm going to give you a new name. How about that? You're not Jacob anymore. You're Israel. Whew. These old versions of us that might come out with like teeth and fangs at first, but then ultimately it is our current selves is responsible to let go. It is the old versions that ultimately will say to us, hey, buddy, hey, pal, let me go. You're good. I bless you. It's okay. You can grow. It's okay. So this is step one of the hope, is letting go of the old past versions and stories. And then step two, really quick, is to not fear the future, not fear change, not fear healing. What? Who fears healing? Almost everybody. Okay? You know those stories in the Gospels where Jesus is on a boat with his disciples and there's a storm and the disciples turn to Jesus who's fast asleep and they're freaking out and they wake up Jesus like, hey, help us please, there's a storm. And Jesus wakes up, and in 2 of the Gospels, he says to his disciples, why are you afraid? And then calms the storm. I prefer Mark's version, and here's why. Because in Mark's version, Jesus wakes up, calms the storm, and then turns to his friends and says, why are you so afraid? And when I hear that, I'm like, I know that story. That story is, why are you more afraid of the calm after the storm than you are of the storm itself? Because how many of us, if we're honest, there's a part of us that kind of sometimes sort of likes being the victim, kind of sort of likes being in this weird, dramatic, stressful context. We don't really, but kind of we've almost gotten used to it. And the calm after the storm, that terrifies us. We don't know who that is. I know who I am in the midst of this pain and turmoil and trauma and hurt. I may not like it. I'm not saying we all like it, but we kind of know who we are. And there's some comfort in that. I know this version, but the me after, the one that maybe is stepping into wholeness, that's scary. It's like the man who laid by the pool of Bethesda in the Gospel of John, and Jesus says to him, do you want to get well? It's a fair question to ask. And so for me, hope is about letting go of the past versions of myself and trusting that they actually want me to keep going. What? And then 2, it is not fearing the future versions of me that might actually be on the other side of some of my pain and suffering and trauma. Not being afraid to let healing happen, to let wholeness be what I chase after. I think sometimes easier said than done, but sometimes something can't be done until we say it. Now abideth these 3, faith, hope, and love. Faith is about staying open. It's this posture of openness. Hope is this trust that I think if I could combine these 2 movements of hope, it is Julian of Norwich who says, and all things will be well, and all manner of things shall be well. Hope is this sense of, I'm just going to believe that things are going to be okay. I'm not going to be afraid. And then love, finally. Let me just quickly say something about love. Paul writes about love. He says, look, if I don't have love, then kind of what's the point? Like, I could speak with the tongue of angels. I could know all the mysteries of the world. I could be incredibly generous with all of my possessions and give it all away to the needy. I could even sacrifice my own well-being. Oh, look how great I am. But if I have not love, just like a noisy cymbal. It does me really no good. Almost as though love has to be the only thing that matters in the end. Which I think terrifies religion, by and large. Now, I'm not anti-religion, but I am aware of the ways in which religion has been a tool and continues to be a tool to oppress and harm and all of that. But I think religion historically has not been okay with the idea that love is all that matters. In fact, there was this moment where Jesus tried to teach about love, and somebody said, okay. But like, of all the commandments, what's the greatest one? Like, what's the biggest rule that we got to follow? And Jesus is like, I'm so glad you asked. It's love. Love God, love your neighbor, love yourself. But again, this is too stressful for those who have a religious orientation, which is to say, I have to know what to do and I have to know what to believe. There's got to be a system that can make sense of all of this. And so the guy follows up with, okay, but who's my neighbor? Like, what's the loophole? It can't just be as simple as love. It can't be that simple. Humanity tends to get freaked out at the idea of everything being boiled down to just love. It's like it isn't good enough for us. But what if it really is that simple? What if it really is? That's kind of all that matters. And I know in some circles that doesn't make me a very good pastor because I'm supposed to like teach people what to believe and all that, but I don't know. I don't know where along the way we got the notion that the thing that matters most to God. I mean, think about this. Somewhere along the way we concluded and then passed on this idea that the thing that matters most to the creator of the universe is what humans think? Yeah, that's kind of chuckle-worthy. Like, when you say it out loud, you're like, that's kind of weird. Like, why would that be the thing that matters most? Because there's so many variables that can affect the way that a person thinks. Where they're born, who they're born into, their sort of neurodivergence, their capacity to understand the time in history. Way too many variables to have it boil down to be that that's the thing that God cares most about. And yet this is so often where we find ourselves is thinking that God cares most about what we believe. What if it's just really about love? Colby, it can't be that simple. But what if it is? What if it is? Again, Jesus was trying, I think, to convince people that it was really about this. And he told a story about a dad who had two sons. And one son came to him one afternoon and said, I would like my share of the inheritance now. And he takes his half of everything and he goes and he squanders it all. And you guys know that story. And he runs out of money and he finds himself at a place where he thinks, man, I would be better off just being like a servant at my dad's house than being out here poor on the streets with nothing. And so he finds the courage. And interestingly, when you read the story, what actually happens is it says, when the son came to himself. There's a sermon in there. I'll have to give it a different day. When he came to himself, he realized he needed to return home to his father. And he had this whole speech prepared, right? He had this whole plan to beg his dad to let him come back into the family. And you know the story well. When the father sees him from afar, he runs to him and he grabs him and he throws his arms around his neck and he puts a ring on his finger and a robe around him and he throws a giant party. My son has come home. And then you know the older brother skips on the party. And the father, again, goes and finds him. Like, hey, bud, what are you doing? Like, we're having a party. Your brother who was lost is home now. Come celebrate. And the older brother is a bit frustrated. Dad, that's how he says in my head. Like, kind of like Napoleon Bonaparte meets Dane Cook. I don't know, like, Dad. Like, I've always done the right things. I've done everything right. I've believed the right things. I've acted the right way. And you've never even given me a goat for me and my friends to party with. Now, there's a point at which you could overanalyze stories like this. And if you make the father in this too much the God figure, it can get a little weird. But there's a part of me that wonders if in that moment the father's heart breaks a little. Like, somewhere I think the father might have realized that if if that's been your takeaway, maybe I've missed something along the way, like maybe I've not seen you all that well. But then I also think when you look at the words of the Father in return, it could be one of those where the Father maybe did tell the Son over and over and over again. And sometimes you have a hard time hearing this. And the words were this: everything I have has always been yours. I tell you that story because I think both of the sons in this story are images and depictions of what it looks like when we connect the word deserve to love. The youngest son thinks, I don't deserve to be loved. The older son thinks, I deserve to be loved. And what I think God wants us to hear is when it comes to love, deserve has nothing to do with it. Has nothing to do with it. This is why the greatest of these is love. Because you are just loved as you are. You can't screw it up. You can't. And some of you have probably tried really hard. And others, I think, have tried really hard to earn it. But everything the divine has always been yours and always will be yours. And what is that? That is love. It is the thing inside of you. It is the imago Dei. It is the stardust of which you were made from, that can't not be eternally, perpetually, forever connected to love. There's no other option. There's no other option. There's no other option. Now abideth faith, hope, and love. I think the secret of life is found in these three words. It is a posture, it is a way of showing up to life that embodies faith. This is staying open. Michael Singer says, nothing is worth closing over. I say that to myself about 10 times a day. When I get frustrated at somebody cutting me off, when I get depressed about my bank account, when I get hit with another email or another text, and I want to just, nothing is worth closing over. It's not. Nothing is worth closing over. Faith, staying open, hope, all shall be well. And all shall be well. And all manner of things shall be well. It's hard. It's scary. I know. And you might say, I don't know that I have enough faith to hope like that. Good news, it only takes the faith of a mustard seed. You don't need much. And love is this grounded truth that you are a child of God just as you are. Loved. And when you live from that place, I tell you, it changes everything. I'm going to invite Heather Lynn to come back up and share some more music with us. And as she does, I want to leave just a word about this with you as a broader community and collective. Because here's the gift about a place like this. And by the way, this place is a gift. I've been traveling the country all year, and there's not many places like this. You've got to know that. You've got to trust me on that. Don't take this place for granted. It is a gift. And specifically when it comes to now abideth faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these of love, as I talk about and share this sort of secret to life, here's the thing that I think is coolest about a community like this. There's going to be days where you don't have it within you to stay open. Guess what? The person next to you, they got you. There's going to be days where your hope is like, F that, I'm back to cynicism, it's way easier. Guess what? The person behind you, they got you. They'll carry you. There's going to be days when you are right back into that story of, I do not deserve to be loved by God, or I have earned God's love, or anything around that, and you just forget that you are a loved child of God. guess what? The person in front of you, they got you. A community like this can carry for each other faith, hope, and love on the days when we don't have it. And so I want to end by inviting you, if this is way too outside your comfort zone, try it. But I think a place like this is fine. I just want you to turn to someone to your left, to your right, in front of you. Just look them in the eyeballs and just say, I got you. And it's got to be got you, Gotchu. I got you. I got you. I got you. Okay. One more step. Now, turn to someone, look them in the eyes, and ask, will you get me? Will you get me? You gotta ask, will you get me? Life is hard, but you're doing it. And in the days when you feel like you don't know if you can do it again, you can do it. And when you wonder how, these three remain: faith, hope, and love. Stay open, trust that all shall be well, and believe and hear that I am a loved child of God. Amen. Amen.
Feel free to clap for Colby in gratitude. Follow the flow of freedom. Hold the hand of hope. Learn the lead of love. Trust and the light will find us wherever we roam. Goodness grows in the ground where we crawl or walk or run or dance. Nourish her with gratitude, sharing together the abundant fruits. We will follow the flow of freedom. Hold the hand of hope. Learn the lead of love. Trust and the light will find us wherever we go. Wherever we roam. Kindness frees the soul, chained in fear and pain from long ago. Grace embraces all despair. Walk out unbound into the open air. We will follow the flow of freedom. Hold the hand of hope. Learn the lead of love. Trust and the light will find us wherever we roam. Wherever we roam. We're gonna roam around a tiny bit, like gentle streams persistent on a strong and stony mountain. Currents of compassion move and cut the deepest groove. of fire from our source who made us equal and free. Can I get an amen for that? Radiate that warmth and light and liberate a new humanity. We will follow the flow of freedom. Hold the hand of hope and the lead of love. Trust and the light will find us wherever we roam. Clap your hands, follow the flow of freedom. Hold the hand of hope and the lead of love. Trust and the light will find us wherever we roam. Trust and the light will find us wherever we roam. Trust and the light will find us wherever we roam. Trust and the light will find us wherever we roam. Amen. Oh man, I didn't get to see Colby's message before he came, and I started to like get really, really excited because I was like, oh my goodness, the song I picked works really, really well. Yay! Oh, let's worship together now and participate in this beautiful calling of Christ to bear witness to love and to be love in this world. Let's do this with our gifts and our offerings as each is able and willing. All of the ways to give are listed at our website, envisioncommunitychurch.org/give, where if you so choose and feel led, you could set up a recurring gift, which would be incredible because that helps us project, envision, strategize, and take steps towards fulfilling dreams together. If you'd like to contribute a one-time donation, you can do that now to the number 84321. Did I say text? Text a one-time donation? Okay, I did. Okay, and then there's also a PayPal option. So paypal.me/ECC gift or give. Is it gift or give? Gift. All right, thanks. Good job. Hey, Mary Jo.
I'm back again. I'm still Mary Jo. My pronouns are still she, her. Cool. When I was in elementary school, I was a playground evangelist. One of the kids must have said something scandalous, like calling someone stupid or something, because I heard the response, which was, "You're going to hell for that." And I'm jump roping next to them, and I look over, and I say, "There's no such thing as hell." The response I get was, "Mary Jo, you don't believe in God?" "Oh, sure I do. I just don't believe in hell." A crowd of kids started to gather, asking, "Not even for murderers?" "No, not even for murderers." I'm still jump roping. "Not even for Hitler?" I tripped on that one. We were in 5th grade, and we had just learned about World War II, so we all knew how terrible Hitler was. Surely he would be punished for all of his sins. I did a quick analysis of how much I truly affirmed my offhand comment. Just as the bell rang, I said, "No, not even for Hitler." My beliefs about hell have shifted significantly since elementary school, but somehow, as a little kid, while playing on the playground, I discovered a belief that would stay with me my entire life. We are not our worst mistake. And that truth is affirmed every week here, right at this table. This table is open to us, no matter who we are, no matter what we believe. no matter what mistakes we have made. Jesus surrounded himself with mistake makers. He welcomed them to his table. This is how that story goes. On the night that Jesus was betrayed, he sat in a room among his disciples to celebrate the annual Passover feast. He took bread, and after giving thanks, he broke it and gave it to his disciples, saying, "This is my body, broken for you. Take, eat, and remember me." Later that same evening, he took the cup, he blessed it, and said, "This wine is the blood of a new covenant, a promise for the redemption of all people. Take, drink, and remember me." At this church, we have an open table. During communion, everyone, without exception, is invited to receive the bread or gluten-free crackers and grape juice, which for us represents the body and blood of Christ. There are so many ways to commune here at ECC. If you choose to stay in your seat, that's fine. You're welcome to remain there. Paula will be off to the side to pray with you. There's a bank of candles in the back. There's a journal. The pastors do read those and pray over anything you write in the journal. And you can join us virtually and put in the comments what your elements are. People enjoy seeing that. And those of you who are in person today, come when you're ready, remembering that this is Christ's body broken for you and Christ's blood shed for you.
Give me eyes to see with your love. Let my heart believe your touch. May my mind perceive your glorious dreams and my life with you. Make a beautiful legacy. Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart. Not be all else to me, save that thou art. Love my best thoughts by day or by night. Waking or sleeping, thy presence my life. Give me eyes to see with your love. Let my heart believe your touch. May my mind perceive your glorious dreams and my life with you. Make a beautiful legacy. Be thou my wisdom and thou my true word, abiding in grace, your impeccable work, bearing the burden of freedom's call, unresting until there is justice for all. Give me eyes to see with your love. Let my heart believe your touch. May my mind perceive your glorious dreams and my life with you. Make a beautiful legacy. Riches I heed not, nor vain empty praise. Thou mine inheritance now and always. Source of all life and a song in my heart. go Sean. What's up, Sean?
Hey, what's up, everybody? All right, they told me to be fast. Return your art pieces. If you've been arting, if you've been arting during the service, please be sure to return those pieces where Karen said to. Each is numbered, and we need them all back to build our Phoenix. Tonight, right after the service, join us for a community potluck dinner. We will gather in the UCC Fellowship Hall. It is a family-friendly soup salad potluck, and it is right after the service. That will go from 6:15 or so until 6:45. There's plenty of food, so please stay even if you didn't bring anything, like me. I wanted to, but it's a CDC compliance thing, so I was not allowed. After dinner, there will be a book signing and author Q&A with Colby Martin. That will try to start right at 6:45 so we can wrap by 7:30. We'll gather in the chapel for that. Colby will do a book signing and a discussion, and during this time, there will be extended child care with Brittany and Megan, and again, we'll try to be wrapped up by 7:30. Hey, mark your calendars, May 13th. It is our... I don't even know what it is yet. It might suck. All right. Our May community social event will be held from 4 to 8 on May 13th at the Pierce's Cabin in Lyons. We are going to have board games and archery. Apparently it's going, and Twister. So apparently it's going to be like a Rapunzel theme. Maybe there'll be puzzles, darts, baking, paper mache, ballet, chess, poetry, ventriloquy, candle making. That's a really good Rapunzel reference, and I'm sorry that that's lost on this crowd. Stay tuned for more events on board games and archery and Twister night at the Pierces. We need volunteers for our family ministry team. Our family ministry is growing. There's lots of new kids here, and that means we need more volunteers to give Brittany and Megan much needed breaks and to do more age differentiation with activities and lessons. So we need 4 more volunteers that are willing to serve. It's no more than once a quarter for the commitment, and that will take place during the service. Volunteers must be up for a background check and the completion of a short online training. Envision Community Church will cover the costs of both of those. So if you're interested in this really fun and really meaningful and just incredibly important way to serve this community, please hit up Nicole at envisioncommunitychurch.org. For details on all these, head our Facebook page, envisioncommunitychurch.org/events. Hurry after this event, 6:15, 6:45, eat, then back into the chapel for Colby at 6:45, and then we're done at 7:30. Bye.
Wow. Let's stand together. Again, as each is able and willing, receive this song of blessing, receive these words of life, and we get to sing them over one another as well. All right. Peace ever, joy ever following you, light ever, love ever radiating through. Hope ever, faith ever, strengthening you. Life ever, breath ever,
I'm back. It's been so frequent, you might as well just call me MJ at this point. So I'm here to do the benediction that we used to do at Sojourn Grace Collective. It's one that reminds us that each and every one of us is a child of God, and so is everyone that we meet. So hopefully it's on the screen. Be brave.
Because you are a child of God.
Be kind.
Because so is everyone else.
Let's go eat, y'all.
May we choose